Okay, okay. Man, is it Friday already? Hard to believe. Hard to believe. Hope everybody's doing well. And everything is groovy here in Nashville. Kind of hanging out, working in my studio. And this is my studio right here. Uh-huh. This is where I spend most of my time. So I'm glad you joined me tonight. I've got a lot of stuff to play for you. I'm going to try some things, some new things, and see what happens. And yeah, that's kind of what's going on. All right, so I was doing a little writing earlier. First of all, I want to say that you're listening to iTA studiostreams.com, which is a website where I am raising money for local musicians, local Nashville musicians. And 100% of that money goes to local Nashville musicians once we can finally get everybody back in the right spot, back up here to do some playing. Then we will be able to start paying them. But every little morsel that you send goes to those musicians. I take zero, and I give it all to them. We will have raised at least $10,000 by the time this is all said and done, and that'll help some local musicians a lot. So there's no amount that's too small, certainly no amount that's too large. So if you'll check out itastudiostreams.com, then you can go there and use PayPal and send some money to local Nashville musicians. Let you know that I'm also me, and that'll help some local musicians a lot. So there's no. I'm taking questions also online, if you are so inclined. My assistant Julia will be monitoring those for me. There's a few from last week that I might get to also, but I want to get to some music. I was a little earlier. I was working on some stuff, and I decided that I would try to write a tune in like 30 minutes and play it for you all tonight. It took me a little more than 30 minutes, maybe an hour, but I did some bass flute stuff and some other things, kind of experimented. So we're going to see what happens with that. Came up with a little melody, and so I'm going to play that for you. I'm playing it on flute. So tonight I'm playing this tune. I'm playing a Brazilian choro, and I'm going to play the bighorn, the baritone sax, on a tune from a new group I've started here in town called the New Gurus, which is a bunch of young cats who are really playing great. And I think that they're the new gurus on the scene, the cats that everybody's going to be looking to. So I'm going to go turn my air conditioning down a little. It's a little warm in here, so I'm going to do that. Give me about 10 seconds. Just talk amongst yourselves, and I'll be right back. I was right. It was set to 80 degrees. We'll have none of that. All right. So this tune, I am going to go into my Pro Tools here. And I think this is it. Yeah. All right. I'm going to put myself into record. And I'm going to play you just a little bit of this so you can hear it, so I can hear it, so I can remember it. Okay, I remember it. All right, so let me turn myself on here, the other microphone. Probably hear a little reverb now in my voice because you're hearing both microphones. And without further ado, this one has no name, so if you have a name for this, y'all, go ahead and punch it on in. And I want to say hi to my mom, too, if she's watching, from New Hampshire. Hey, Ma. How you doing, Ma? Love you. And my wife, who might be watching inside the house. Hey, sweetie, love you too. So again, if you have a name that you think might be appropriate for this tune, go ahead and punch it on in, and we'll see what happens. All right? Wish me luck. This is a tune I wrote about an hour and 15 minutes ago. All right. All right, folks. I'm going to give it my best shot here, and we'll see what happens. All right. Here we go. I think I'm up and rolling. Check my levels. It's a one-man operation, you know. All right. That should be good. Here we go. Okay. Let me go back to my other microphone. Okay, I'm trying to make it a little easier on myself to not have to keep using the same microphone, which is nice. And so yeah, that was the tune. That was the tune. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's fun trying to play it. And I'm seeing a message on here from Nicole. She says, my 5-year-old likes to press the like and heart buttons. That's good. I like that. I'm going to like and heart your son for doing that, Nicole. Very cool. Very cool. Jason Sheldon was asking, am I going to breathe at some point? No. I'm just going to continue to exhale the entire time. My buddy Jason Shelton. And hey, Johnny Woodstock. Hey, buddy, I hope you're doing all right. See, my wife joined also. Hey, baby, nice to see you. And so anyways, David Rogers. What's up, David Rogers? Jim Metz. My buddy Jim Metz. What's happening? Yeah, it's nice to see some familiar names checking it out. So on that tune, let me tell you a little bit about it. What I did originally is I put down a bass flute track. I'm going to play a little of this for you just so you can hear it. And this is kind of where it started. Here you go. You're getting some of the overtones and different things going on there. I wanted it as gritty as possible. And so then, after the bass flute part, what the heck did I do then? Oh, yeah. Okay, so check this out. If I can remember, I think this is right. Yeah. So some of my instruments were these right here. Okay, so I filled up these bottles to different levels to get different pitches. And let me show you the bass flute also, which is a pretty cool looking instrument. If you've never seen one before, this is it. It's double the length of a regular C flute, which is this right here. So this is double the length. I'm looking at you through the horn. The bass flute has that really low, beautiful sound to it. And that bass flute used to belong to an amazing, legendary saxophonist named Yusef Lateef. And Brother Yusef Lateef taught at UMass Amherst and is renowned for not only his education, but for his outreach and mentorship to young students. Passed away a few years ago. A friend of mine was handling his estate and asked me if I was interested in any of his instruments, and of course I said absolutely. So I got his bass flute and his main tenor, and that bass flute has seen a lot of music since I got it, and so I'm very happy about that. And so if anybody watching knew the great Yusef Lateef, know that horn is still, both horns are still making music. And I'm very grateful for that. Okay, so this is, I'm just going to play you the bottles next so you can hear those. Okay, here you go. You can hear the click track in the background also. I'm going to put the bass flute in right here. Right, and so then what I did is I added, what did I add? Oh, I added some shaker. All right, and because I've got all these weird percussion instruments over in my corner. So I added some shaker, so I'll let you hear what that sounds like. Right? Okay. And let me say also that I want to thank everybody for tuning in, but in particular, the folks from right around Mansfield, Mass. We were supposed to be this weekend with Dave Matthews, and I'm really sorry we're not there. I wish we were, but thinking about y'all, and I hope everybody's doing okay wherever they are. We're supposed to be in Mansfield, and then we're supposed to be in Columbia, Maryland, and we're supposed to be in New Hampshire also earlier this week. So, man, I would have been home. I would have been able to see my mom. That would have been awesome. Hey, Nancy Serpa, what's up? How are you, Nance? Very nice to have you on board. So I've known Nancy since I was 15 years old, literally at band camp. So, all right. So then I added, after the shaker, I had an idea from a buddy of mine who is an amazing saxophonist named Derek Brown. If you guys haven't heard Derek before, he's something else. He does all this crazy beatboxing stuff. And so he has basically a little box that he stomps on. You know, it's maybe 1.5 foot by 1.5 foot and maybe 2 or 3 inches tall. And so he gets this crazy kick drum sound out of it. So I thought, well, I'm above my garage, so I thought, you know, if I hit the floor with my foot on the rug, kind of gives a nice muffled sound. So I just cranked the microphone, and this is the sound that I got on that. I'm going to solo this up so you can check it out. It's kind of a fee-fi-fo-fum moment. Well, apparently my mom and sister are tuning in. They're having dinner, drinking wine. They're going to get loaded during this thing. Right on. Have to play some get drunk and eat dinner music. Okay, so that's the floor kick. So that, in conjunction with everything else so far, check this out. Turn off the click track, the dreaded click track. Right? So there's that. And so I also did a second section. So I kind of had an A and a B section. Then I had a second section here. This. And I might eventually put some harmony in there. But I didn't really have time before I went live, so I didn't. All right. So after all that, then what I did is I pulled the hi-hat over from my drum set. I'm not a drummer, but I thought, okay, well, I can probably play maybe, a bar in time? Maybe. I'd be lucky to. But, hey, Jimmy Sullivan, Dan Immel. I see you guys on here. I see you guys hanging out. Craig Spencer. Sandy Bazell, Nina Bellflower, Bridget, Gabby, Teresa, Tabitha, Danny Lloyd, Clearwater, Florida. Hope you guys are doing okay down there. Eric Sabo, what's up, buddy? How are you, man? So we're all just kind of hanging out here tonight, having fun. So what I did is I brought the hi-hat over, and I'm not going to play that for you solo because it's really not very good. But it was fun to try it. So here's everything without the flute melody. I hope Carter's not listening to this. He'd be like, sit down, son. Let me take over. Right? So that's basically the bed that I played to. And then I came up with this melody about maybe 15 minutes or so, maybe 20 minutes or so before I had to go live. And basically I kind of improvised. So this is my chart. Okay, this is the entire chart for this tune. And so basically there is no chart. It's chicken scratch. This looks like the stuff that I wrote out when I first started playing with DMB. It was literally just chicken scratch put into a 3-ring binder. As fast as I could write out, Rashawn would sing parts to me. Dave would play guitar, Rashawn would sing parts. I was writing out feverishly. And I had a nice eraser and an electric pencil sharpener and a 3-ring binder with plastic sheets and a stand light and a stand. I'm not sure where that folder is. It's somewhere. And I should auction that folder off somewhere and raise some money for a good cause. But it's funny looking at those charts. It's kind of like this, just scribbles and bits. Okay, so I'm just going to play a little of it now with the flute melody that I played, and you can kind of hear just a little bit of the whole thing here. I'll put some delay on it also. So this part is improvised. And then this third section, this is the solo section. Kind of a breakdown. Not emotional, musical. Yeah, go on, Belinda. Go ahead and dance to this. Hey, Eileen. Chef Cox, what's up? Eileen Rizzo, what's happening? That's right, Eric. Some herbs and spices. That's right. Back to the melody. So, anyways, you heard the rest of it, and so anyhow, so you know that's something I'll continue to work on and get maybe a different version of it, or maybe I'll just leave it like that. I don't know. But basically, what I wanted to do is just create with literally what was within arm's reach, and so that's what I did. You know, with the bottles, with the bass flute, with the C flute, the shakers that are right here, the hi-hat that's 3 or 4 feet away from me, and so that's what I came up with. Okay, let me see what you guys came up with for names here. I'm not going to guarantee I'm going to use any of these, but Flute Loops, Dandelions, Sunset Serenade, White Mountain Strut, Neon Sign, Earth Funk, Havana Strut. I think the strut person maybe put in 2 titles. Am I wrong? I think I'm right. Front Porch Funk. I'm not on my front porch, but I get your point. Flute Funk. I think the funk person put in 2 titles also. And Strolling Down Main Street, 30-Minute Groove. Okay, I have to admit, none of those are really very good. They're not terrible, but they're okay, I mean, they're all right. Actually, they're awesome. They're awesome. If you come up with any other names, let me know, because I don't think I'm going to use any of those. But maybe. You never know. I'm going to be completely non-committal here in a very committed kind of way. All right, so the other thing I wanted to do, I'm going to play a choro for you also, which is a Brazilian type of folk, Brazilian folk music, which I really love. The first time I ever went to Brazil was with Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. And this was, I want to say 2006, maybe 2005, 2006. And while we were down there, this guy Hamilton de Holanda, who some of you have seen perform with us with Dave Matthews, said, you guys have to come to this jam session. It was in Sao Paulo. Hey, Christine Katzman, how are you? Thanks for joining. It's very nice to see you on here. Christine has a great magazine called Halftime Magazine that I write for. And I've been doing it for a number of years. She's been very, very supportive of me learning how to write. So thank you, Christine. I appreciate it. So anyways, the first time we went down, we were in Sao Paulo, and it was after the gig. Hamilton brought us to this tiny little club, and man, we were packed in so tight. Vic was there, Vic Wooten, Future Man, I think Jonathan Morris. I'm not sure that Bela came out. I can't remember, but I know that Victor recorded this. He had a little camcorder. He's got the whole thing, but it was this unbelievable jam session. All these musicians from Rio were in Sao Paulo for some reason, and they ended up at this club. And there were these two long tables that separated the audience from the musicians. They were just sitting, like I'm sitting behind my desk. They were just hanging out, sitting there. Guitars, basses, vocal, some flutes. And so this was the night that I met Carlos Malta. Okay, so Carlos was playing wood fife, and excuse me. So we got there, and Hamilton kind of signaled to him, and he came over. And we introduced, and he gave me a big hug. And he said, "Let's have a cachaça." I said, "Great. What's a cachaça?" And cachaça is a sugarcane liqueur. So we went over and had a drink. And he says, "Oh man," he says, "I was watching TV earlier today." He says, "I saw a commercial for the Flecktones," and he says, "I thought, man," he says, "I've got to meet that guy," and meaning me, and I was like, "What?" I said, "Come on, man, really?" And so we've just been joined at the hip, man, since day one. So the next time I went to Brazil with Dave Matthews, this was in 2009, 2008 maybe, and so I got in touch with I think Carlos's manager or a buddy of his, whatever. And I said, I got to find Carlos. We've got to hang. So we set up a time. We went up to see the Cristo with a bunch of the guys in the band. And so after that, I kind of peeled off and hooked up with Carlos. And he had played this gig the night before that Tim and I had gone to, and Stefan was there. Dave was going to go, but he bowed out at the last minute. But it was incredible. It was this little tiny club. It was just off the hook. And so I went to a music store, and I found this book. Okay? Now, this book, I have no idea who this guy is, or at the time I didn't. All I knew is that there was a statue of some guy playing the saxophone. And so I thought, okay, this is good. And I looked at it, and it looked really challenging. This kind of stuff, you know. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm going to try it. I'm going to buy it and see what happens, right? So I get to Carlos's place, and had my soprano with me. And we found out that our soprano saxophones are Selmer Mark VI sopranos, because I was still playing a Selmer soprano at the time. They were made like within 2 weeks of each other. I mean, what are the odds of that this cat down in Brazil has a soprano saxophone made like in the late 60s, made within 2 weeks of my horn. The serial numbers were like, I think within like maybe 100, or it was something like really small, maybe 20 or something. It's crazy, whatever it was. And so he says, so I said, well, look, I bought this book. He says, Pixinguinha. He says, you know his music? And I said, no. I said, not at all. I said, but there was a statue of a guy playing saxophone on the front, so I figured it couldn't be all bad. And he said, he's one of our greatest composers, if not our greatest composer. He's kind of like the Bach of Brazil. And so I've been playing out of that book for a long time. And there's another book that I got from Carlos that I showed you last week. Whoops, there goes the CD. You can go to choromusic.com, CHORO music.com. And they have incredible books and play-alongs there. And so this is Pixinguinha. And the tune I'm going to play on here, after I pick up the CD, is called Diplomata. I'm assuming it means diplomacy. I'm not sure. Diplomata. I don't know how to pronounce these words. This is terrible. I'm sorry, Brazil. I love you. I'm sorry. So what I did earlier today is I dumped into Pro Tools. I dumped into Pro Tools the MP3 for this tune, and I played. It's a duo, so I played the other part earlier on flute, and I'm going to now attempt to play the top part on flute as well. So I'm going to be playing a duet with myself. So this is Diplomata, and I'm going to turn this microphone off and turn the other one on. Okay. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so this is Pishinginya, Diplomata, and I'm going to send it out to my drunk mom and sister. You guys are crazy, and I love you both. Okay, let's see what happens here. Here we go. Am I right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let me shut this mic off. And turn this one back on. Man, that's really some fun music to play. This is not the most challenging tune in the book. I can actually play this one fairly consistently. But there's other stuff in here, man, that is just ridiculously difficult, and there's no way I will ever be able to play it. as much as I try, as much as I would love to, it will never happen. Hey, Ann Richards, you join, man. Ann Richards, who lives here in Nashville, is one of my former flute teachers. when I first moved to town. And she played with the symphony for many, many years. She's an incredible, incredible musician. And so thank you, Anne, for not only your amazing career, but also for the inspiration and guidance on the flute many years ago as well. And I really, really appreciate it. So again, that was a tune called Diplomata, which is a Brazilian choro tune. I'll show you the book one more time. You can go to choromusic.com. Choro is how you might pronounce it also, but it's CHORO music.com. And the book is Pichinguinha, I think, Volume 1. And Carlos Malta is actually on here. You can see his name right there on the back of the book. And he's playing some of these tracks on here. Okay. So the other thing I was thinking, I don't really talk much about the music that has kind of informed me outside of jazz. And my sister says they're not drunk yet, and they love me too. Oh, isn't that nice? That means they're drunk. Anybody who tells you they're not drunk yet is already drunk. I know it. I absolutely know it. I'm going to call them later. I'm going to call them after this is over, and they are going to be loaded. Again, hey, if you guys have questions, pop them in, and Julia will get them up here, and I'll try to jump in there and answer a couple of them here in a couple of minutes. So anyways, the music that I'm influenced by, there's a couple records that I have here. I've got a nice Yamaha turntable in my studio, which I'm very happy to have. It's really fantastic. And sorry, I'm all tangled up. Okay, I'm back. So I get to listen to records out here, which is really great. I've got a nice turntable inside the house. But there's a couple records. This is a John Coltrane record called Both Directions at Once. That is one of the great records of the Coltrane catalog. It was lost for many years, not this particular copy, but the record, the recordings itself. And so it came with a wonderful poster of the group with Elvin Jones, Jimmy Garrison, and McCoy Tyner. This is the great John Coltrane, one of my musical heroes. Another wonderful picture of him. And this record came out, I think, last year or the year before. And when this record came out, there's a very dear friend of mine in town named Dennis Soley. And Dennis gave me my first gig in Nashville, for which I will be eternally grateful. He's an amazing saxophonist, clarinet, flute, knows 100,000 tunes, and knows how to play them authentically, as authentically as anybody I've ever heard. He grew up with the music. He grew up playing standards, and so when he plays them, there's a particular authenticity to it that you just don't get not having grown up playing that music. So anyways, when that record came out, he came over, and I said, hey, Dennis, I said, come on by. I said, I've got some scotch, and I've got a check for you for a horn that I had sold, that I had bought from him, that I gave him half the money for. And I've got this new John Coltrane record. I think it was from 1963. And he says, oh, my God, man. He says, I saw Coltrane during that period. And so he came over, and we were just hanging out, and during the middle of it, like we're listening to it, and he was like a little kid, man, like on the couch, like kind of jumping up and down. He's like, man, he says, I heard this band. He says, this just takes me back, like however many years. And it's just the power of music, man. It's so incredible to witness something like that, to talk with somebody who saw the masters, to hang out with them while they're being transported back by the music. And so it's man, something I'll never forget for sure. Another record that you probably don't expect me to pull out here is this, Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. Now, I didn't get hip to this record until I was in college. I had probably heard some Pink Floyd on the radio, and I had some friends who were deeply into them. But, you know, I was kind of a jazz snob. I was listening to Coltrane and Sonny Rollins, Joe Henderson, Miles Davis, Charles Mingus, you know, all the cats. And I remember hearing that this record, Dark Side of the Moon, held the record, no pun intended, for the longest, for the record that stayed on the charts the longest of any record in history. And I just thought, man, what kind of musician am I if the record that's been on the charts the longest of any record in history, if I don't know it, you know? So I went out and I got the CD and put it on and was immediately transported. And I was absolutely blown away. I remember when the bells went off. Okay, those of you that know this record know what I'm talking about. When the bells went off, man, I jumped about 10 feet. When the alarms go off, man, I was not expecting that. I was in a very tranquil place, shall we say. And but I've listened to that record 1,000 times, you know, and I know most of it. I've even done the Wizard of Oz thing with it, which is actually pretty cool. One night in the back of the bus with the Flecktones. And yeah, my friend, yeah, I saw a note from my friend Julia. Julia was over the night that Dennis Solie came over and listened to that record also. We were all hanging out, having a good time. And so that record has meant a lot to me. I've listened to it so much. And the Wizard of Oz thing is really cool too. All right, so before I play this last tune for you, this Barry sax tune, the Big Horn, as we call it, there's a couple of questions. Somebody's asked what my pedal board setup is. Basically, I've got a couple of pedals. I've been using pedals on my saxophone for a very long time, influenced initially by the great Michael Brecker, the late great Michael Brecker, from his Heavy Metal Bebop record, which is such a great name for a record, Heavy Metal Bebop. And he was using something called a Mutron envelope filter on that record, which kind of gives it a wah, 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 wah kind of sound. And so I've got a Qtron envelope filter that I use. I've got a delay pedal, and I've got a Digitech whammy pedal, one of the red ones, that allows me to toggle between harmonized sounds. And so that's basically what I use on my pedal board. I use DPA mics live. In my opinion, they're the best mic out there as a clip-on by far, and I think they're fantastic. What instrument is my favorite to play? I would have to say tenor. It's very close to the human voice. If I was going to run out to a jam session, I would grab the tenor first. Soprano is a close second. I've really come to love that instrument over the years, and the woodiness of the horn, the darkness of the horn. I really dig both those instruments. See, past or present, could groove with one guitar player you've never had the chance with before. Who would it be? Ooh, that's a good question. I was listening to a Brazilian guitar player today, Egberto Gismonti. He also was a brilliant pianist. Man, maybe him. Maybe Hendrix or Stevie Ray Vaughan, though. It depends on what kind of mood I'm in. I mean, it's like such a different thing. I mean, I would say John Lee Hooker or Leadbelly, but I wouldn't even want to play with those guys. I just want to sit there and listen. Robert Johnson. Yeah, God, there's so many. There's so many. Muddy Waters. I don't know. I mean, maybe Hendrix, but I think I would just want to listen. I don't know. Maybe Egberto Gismonti, though. I don't. This is a tough question. I have no good answer for that question. How dare you ask me that? Let's see. Okay. Were you influenced by some of the Brazilian jazz from the 60s? I guess a little bit. Not consciously. I really didn't like the bossa nova so much. I mean, a little bit like the Estrud Gilberto and Getz. That's really beautiful. But I was looking for something a little heavier. When I went to Brazil and met Carlos, it changed everything for me because that was the music I had been looking for. The folk music, the choro, the samba music, that was like the real dance music of Brazil, and it really changed things for me in my perspective on that music. And then Carlos has a fife and drum band called Pife Moderno, Pifemuderno, Pife Moderno, which is just unbelievable and incredible group of musicians. Been together, I think, 25 or 30 years. And so they're amazing. What's my drink? Well, tea. Actually, I'm drinking some right here in my very large mug. Rashawn got this mug for me. Is this the one? No, it's a different one. The other one's inside, but it has my name on it. This one does not. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I stopped drinking about a year ago, went vegetarian, decided to get healthy, and dropped about 20, 25 pounds. So I used to like gin a lot. Gin was really nice. Monkey 47. And I like wine also. I mean, I've had a couple of sips of wine over the last few months, but yeah, I've never really liked drinking very much, as opposed to my mom and sister who are totally loaded. I'm not sure if I told you guys that or not. Somebody asked about charts for "Lying in the Hands of God," Gray Street Lover, Lay Down. I don't have charts for those tunes, so if you want those, you're gonna have to do the work yourself. What made me decide What made me decide to try to play two saxophones? I was on a gig and there was no chordal instrument. The trumpet player, Bill Fanning, who has worked with me over the years, was taking a solo. It was sort of an acid jazz group. And I just thought, wow, man, it'd be kind of cool to be able to play some parts behind him. So I picked up the other horn and I started playing. And that's kind of when it started. I knew about Roland Kirk already, Russan Roland Kirk. He used to play three at a time. And so I figured, well, I could try two. If you could only go to one concert is it, and where are your seats? Oh, man, that's a good question. I think... Beethoven's Ninth. The debut of Beethoven's Ninth. Man, can you imagine hearing that? Can you imagine being the audience to witness Beethoven's Ninth for the first time with Beethoven deaf? You know, they had to turn him around. He couldn't tell if people were applauding or not, and he was too concerned to turn around in case they didn't like it. But he was hearing everything in his head. That's how he conducted it. So Beethoven's Ninth, yeah, absolutely. And Laurie's my sister's just wrote in. She said, "Mom just called you a little shit." All right, thanks, Ma. We aren't drunk, just enjoying a glass of wine over a nice dinner. Sure you are. I wish I was there with you, getting drunk. Oh, I don't drink anymore though. So yeah, Beethoven's Ninth. That's the concert I would go to. That's a great question. But there's a lot of other questions here, and I don't think I'm going to get to all of them. I like this one, though. Will I ever tour with Bela again? I hope so. You never know what the future holds. I hope so. I love Bela. Bela loves me. We love each other. And, man, it'd be great to have the Flecktones out with Dave Matthews again someday and, do a little stuff like that. Once we get back. Who knows, man? Who knows? I hope so. How has this pandemic inspired you? Well, the pandemic's actually inspired me in a lot of different ways. It's activated me a little more politically. I have to be honest with you. It's made me kind of start to communicate in a different way. It's inspired me to stay creative. It's inspired me, excuse me, to start thinking a little further down the road. Normally for me, like I'm thinking like, what's going on next week or what's going on in 2 weeks. Just because I have so much stuff going on between the education work I do and the touring with Dave Matthews. So I'm thinking, a little longer term with my goals and my aspirations. And so I've been teaching a bunch over the summer also. I've got about 15 students. I've been doing these lesson packages, which has been super fun. And I've got to meet some really incredible people. And I'm writing a couple of books. I'm writing a book on improvisation. I've just finished writing the material for a book of improvisational flute etudes. I put out a record at the beginning called Songs of Solitude, an EP. And I put a new band together called the New Gurus here in town. We've recorded 7 tunes. I've been doing some playing with a bass player and an accordion player where we social distance and stay as far away from each other as we can and make music. I've been playing with a bass player and a drummer here in town doing the same thing, also writing music together. So I've actually been very inspired. I've been very busy. I'm trying to stay as far away from people as I can, wear a mask every time I go out, and trying to take care of myself and make sure that I'm taking care of other people as well. And so, it's been inspiring. Hey, Per Danielson, how are you, buddy? Hope you're doing well. I was reading about all the stuff going on and was thinking about you guys and sending lots of love. This is an interesting question. Have you played with Van Morrison before? As a matter of fact, yes. With the Dallas Jazz Orchestra in 1989 or maybe 1990. I can't remember which. It was at the Montreux Jazz Festival, the same year that Quincy Jones was the host and Miles Davis was over there playing. And no, this was before that. That's when I was with Brenda Lee. So this would have been mid-'80s. I was there with the Dallas Jazz Orchestra while I was still at the University of North Texas. And we were backing up Van Morrison and Georgie Fame. And it was great. Like, I wasn't the hugest Van Morrison fan while it was happening, but we got tapes of it after it was done, and I listened to it, and I was completely and utterly blown away. His phrasing, his sense of melody, the timbre of his voice, it was an epiphany for me. Sort of like when I first heard Dark Side of the Moon, and I've been a big Van Morrison fan ever since. I remember I had just started to write at that time also. Somebody's asking what tunes I played with him. I can't remember, but you can find it. I was when Van Morrison played the Montreux Jazz Festival, the late 80s, mid to late 80s, like 87, 88, 89, right around there. But I remember I had started to write, and I remember asking him about his writing process because I knew that he was prolific. And so I said, how does it happen for you? And I remember he did one of these things. He kind of went, he says, he says, with his Irish accent, and he says, I'm just a conduit. He says, it just comes through me. He says, I know nothing about music. And he said that he was just a conduit, for the music to come through him, which was, very mystical. And I was sort of like, ooh. So anyways, it was quite a trip to be around him and to get to make music with him. It was really something else. All right, so I am going to play this last tune for you. I want to thank you all for tuning in. And once again, if you're interested in donating to some Nashville area musicians, you can go to itastudiostreams.com. ITA stands for Into the Air, which is the name of my studio here that we're in. itastudiostreams.com. And there's a PayPal link there. All the money that's donated there goes to area musicians. And We'll have raised about 10 grand when all is said and done. Hopefully more than that with your generous support. And all of that money goes to them. I make nothing. I'm continuing to do these live streams, first of all, because I like to connect with everybody, but also to help raise money for local musicians. No amount is too small. Certainly no amount is too large. So I hope you'll consider that. This tune doesn't have a name either. So I'm going to ask you once again, after I've trashed all your names that you put down before for the flute. Actually, there were a couple of good ones. And this one doesn't have a name. So this is a baritone sax tune that I'm playing. This is with the New Gurus. And we recorded this a few weeks back. And so I'm going to play the baritone part, play a solo also. Guy, I hope I remember how this goes. And I think I will. I hope. I say that. I don't really know. But I'm optimistic, shall we say. Okay? So I'm going to shut this mic down. I'm going to grab the big horn. And I'm going to sign off after this. But thank you once again for checking out this live stream. I really appreciate it. And once again, hey, New Hampshire and Mansfield, Mass. Sorry we're not there this week. Was it Maryland? I think we were supposed to be in also, or Delaware. God, I can't remember which. I'm going to look because I would feel bad saying one if it wasn't the one. Let's see. Maryland, yeah. Meriwether Post Pavilion. And so I'm sorry we're not there, y'all, but you're in our thoughts, you're in our hearts. We love you, and thank you as always, for the support. And okay, so put the names that you think this tune should be called up into the messages. And without further ado, this is whatever you decide to call it. Okay, here we go. Wish me luck. How's this tempo? Is this okay? You want it a little faster?
So we're all in for the 8?
Yeah. This is the witty banter before the tune starts. Here we go. I've already played it wrong. I'm going to start again. Okay, here we go. I think I'm ready this time. My sister played baritone sax for many years. This one's for you, Laurie. Okay, mistakes and all. You got it. Oh, that was funny. That was funny. All right, so that was, I have no idea what that was because there's no name to it yet. Let's see what you guys came up with for names. If you guys came up with something. Let's see here. Do. Space Crusaders. Guru Groove. That's kind of nice. Downtown Slide. Play baritone too. Sarah Solomons. Right on. Yeah, I was saying my sister Laurie is a baritone saxophone player sometimes also. And so yeah, maybe she'll start playing a little bit more. Come on, Laurie. Break that thing out. Join me on live stream sometime. So anyways, I want to thank you all for tuning in, for checking this out tonight. I really appreciate it. I like coming here and hanging out with y'all and playing music for you. And again, I hope you'll check out itastudiostreams.com. And I think that's it. I think I'm out. I'm going to go have some food, go have some dinner, and see what I can see. I think we're having scallops from Trader Joe's tonight. Trader Joe's makes some good scallops. Well, they don't make them, but you know what I'm saying. Hear that, Trader Joe's? Hook me up. I want those scallops. All right, so I'm going to leave you with just a little bit of this last tune. And once again, you're listening to In the Studio from iTA Studios here in Nashville. Thank you once again. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll see you next Friday, 7 p.m. Central Time. And I don't know what I'll be doing then, but I'll be doing something. And maybe I'll write another new tune for you. All right? Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And see you on the flip side. Peace.